meeting for the Firewise Committee of Angel Fire. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Mark, you able to hear us okay?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, have we got you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Sure, we can hear you. Sure. We can hear you. Can you hear us, Mark?
Yeah, it's not great, but I'll deal with it.
Okay, we'll have to speak up, especially me at the far end. Actually, I'll move chairs so I'm closer to that mic. Better, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. We'll have roll call. Mike Laverty here.
Ron Lindsay here.
Mark, man.
And Chief, you're not a voting member. Yep. Right. Okay, so we have a quorum. Do we have an approval for today's agenda? Or
I
motion
move to approve the agenda as written.
Second. Brian seconds that. We have any requests or responses from the audience? We got one audience.
We need to vote on that.
What's that?
Yeah.
We need to vote on
Got to
that.
vote on the agenda. So Mark Manley, aye.
Mike, what? Brian?
Aye.
Mike Laverty, aye.
Okay.
So we've got
Motion to accept the
Motion.
agenda passes.
the agenda passes. Okay. So now we want to entertain any requests or responses from the audience.
I only have one, point that I'd like to bring up is, we received an email today. I don't know if Mark, if you received that or not. But Vicky Lannon has resigned her position on the Firewise committee, as has Martha, Ashley, and so now we are down to 3. And so since we have 3 here, we have a quorum, we have to meet 51%, from this point forward, or for all committee meetings, we have to have 51%. So that's why we were able to have the meeting today.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. And I'll I'm looking for a couple. I think 5 is still a good number. Usually allows us to make a quorum pretty easily. If you all have any ideas for somebody that might want to serve, but I'll keep at it.
Do we want to talk about that now? It's not on the agenda.
We can,
Is that cool?
Brian mentioned that he has somebody in mind.
I reached out to John Ross, a village resident. He said that he would be happy to help.
Yeah.
So do we need to put that on the agenda
So
to
we,
recommend John Ross?
Yeah, you guys can recommend it.
for next week's agenda or next meeting's agenda?
That'll be May 26th, but yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's gotta
Mark?
go to the mayor. The mayor's gotta approve the selection.
So we recommend that. Okay.
Okay, so it goes to mayor first and then we can put it on our agenda for approval. If the mayor goes, is okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay. And Mark, you don't have any but specific, you're just,
No,
Thinking
no,
about other
not at this time. I'm just kind of trying to put the feelers out there. And yeah, I think actually it's not really anything for us to do at our meetings. I think actually these committee members have to be approved by council at village council. So I think Ileana, can you confirm that? I'm pretty sure the council needs to approve it.
Oh, absolutely. You guys just make the recommendation. So being
Yeah.
that you made this recommendation, make
Yeah.
sure it sees its way through on the 26th.
but while we're on the subject, would it be important for us to try to find a 5th person and have them both on the next agenda if we can? Okay,
When would your deadline be?
Would be the week before.
So she's gonna get a date, if we can have all recommendations in by, the date that she gives us a week before the meeting on,
May 17th?
have all recommendations by May 17th if possible.
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay, so we've got our business agenda, there's mostly, your area. You want me to just go down these items one by one
Yes,
and have you respond? Okay.
Yes.
So number one business agenda is, fire department input and direction expectations.
Yeah, we've been meaning to have this sort of meeting. We've been trying to get a committee together, trying to get some of the early stuff done about our purpose statement and the good neighbor policy and having a secretary and all of that stuff. We still haven't got there. So, first things first, I don't want to tackle any big project items that are out there before we get our committee established. I just want to be able to do that first. But from that point forward, we are gonna change the Firewise committee expectations a little bit. I would consider myself an extension of the village manager for any directions or agenda that he would like to concentrate on from the village's standpoint would be vocalized through me and Captain Romo. But for the most part, we really want you guys to drive this committee into things that you feel are popular. I think it's, we could talk about this subject for a long time, but Mark, if you can kind of maybe give your input. Essentially, we came up through the fire adapted committee. We're going to continue that agenda. And phase one was kind of getting the defensible space ordinance out there. Phase two included some other things. Phase one also included getting the fire ambassador started and getting the Firewise application started, et cetera. Phase two was the getting the good neighbor policy, getting that language completed. But before we could do that, we needed a purpose statement. So as of our last meeting, I think we did finally vote on and approve our purpose statement. So we do have that in place. And so from this point forward, we're going to start just checking off these small little projects as they come along to help us in the overall goal of achieving that 3-phase plan that I can share with everybody. And that's the general outline of what we're working to. Generally, that states that we want all village residents to be compliant with the defensible space ordinance, the good neighbor policy, and I'm probably using the wrong terminology for that. I know we came up with a different name. Mark, do you have the proper name for that, what we decided on? Is the
I
fuels
don't.
mitigation?
Yeah,
Something.
I don't recall. I don't have it in front of me. I know we came up with something.
But we all know what that is. Basically, the agreement for two neighbors to be able to operate
Right.
on each other's property as it pertains to the DSO. The Fire Adaptive Committee, we kind of put that plan together. Really, phase two isn't implemented until we've reached about 50% compliance, and we're a long ways from 50% compliance. Lindsay Reed did about 100 or just over 100 assessments. Captain Romo has carried the torch and done another 40,
Probably 40.
35, 40 assessments. And so if we're looking at like hitting a 50%, we're pretty far from that. There's about 1,000 permanent residents, but if we look at how many homes there are, I think there's over 4,000 homes. So we're pretty far. But that technically would kind of hit our benchmark of phase two. And then in later phases, phase three, which might be 2 to 10 years down the line, then maybe at some point the village has talked about maybe cleaning and leaning properties and having more of an enforcement mindset. Something else that plays into this is what type of homes are we concentrating on? Now it's just inhabited structures. People who live in homes that are built on, the defensible space ordinance, it all pertains to a home and the home ignition zone that's around the home. Later on down the line is when we'll start implementing unimproved structures and so forth. So really, the expectations from the fire department is just to kind of work along that 3-phase plan and step by step implementing it within the village. Second than that, I'll go ahead and talk about this in another line item, but how the village or how the Firewise committee can help in pushing the defensible space, mentality to other neighbors and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, do you have anything to add to that about like progress and where we're at up in, from the bleed over from fire adapted to where we are now at Firewise?
No, I do not.
Item number 2 is grant phase, 1 signed agreement.
I'll refresh y'all's memory that, the phase 1 grant was $10 million with the Cimarron Watershed Alliance and the fitting around the village perimeter. So we anticipate, having, a meeting with Rick Smith here in the near future before we start, on those phases to decide where we're gonna start first. I highly recommend that the Firewise committee joins those meetings, as well as Captain Romo, and give our opinions about where we should start. But Rick Smith is gonna show up and give us the exact amount of acreage or number of miles that he can do around the perimeter. In early conversations with Rick, it seems like he's gonna be able to take care of almost the entire perimeter of Angel Fire. So I don't think we're gonna run out of resources in that regard. But that grant, phase 1 contract has now been signed and we are official. We have the green light to start funding that. So look forward to those meeting requests that come out soon, and I highly recommend that you guys partake in that. I'm sure Mark has probably had some other conversations with Rick about that, and we'll have some input about that as well. Anything to add about that, Mark?
No, I have not talked to Rick in a little bit, so I need to do that. But yeah, we're excited to get to work down there on the southwest corner for sure.
Sounds like he was about a month out in scheduling. He had a lot of stuff going on, so we expect sometime by the end of May that we should have some sort of word when we can meet. So look forward to that.
Now,
Sounds good.
you said something, the grant amount, or is it the 10 million going to Angel Fire as a whole, or are you actually talking about individual property owners? Is it Rick Smith that determines the scope of work for the perimeter? Or does he meet with, I know he meets with individual property owners to coordinate with them and whatnot, but there's not individual grants that go to individual property owners, is it?
That's correct.
Okay.
So it is up to Rick Smith with our input. He's, that's why we're gonna have this meeting to get our input of where they should start and exactly where he should concentrate on. But he already has a pretty good outline of what he thinks, and he's gonna present that to us and get our input. But yes, he will have to have individual property owner agreements.
Right.
If he's working on yours and it's adjacent to the boundary, then you'll have to have
Right.
some sort of agreement.
Right.
Yeah, but
That's
correct,
what
there's not
telling my
individual.
neighbors.
As well as phase 2 grant, which is out there. That contract has not been signed. It has not been approved yet, but phase 2 of that is for evacuation routes.
Right.
And keep in mind that the $10 million is not exclusive. The second phase 2 is not exclusive to Angel Fire, but our portion of that will include our evacuation routes, and we felt that was the highest priority. No other grants that we know of or applications have been submitted for any other additional money.
Okay. All right, item 3, engine boss posting.
Yeah, that was a real quick one. We had a gentleman separate from the organization last year, Michael Lujan. We felt it was important to repost that position. It is posted. If you guys know anybody who's engine boss certified, please encourage him to submit an application. It's been open for a couple of weeks, and as of last week, Tuesday, we did not have any applicants. I haven't heard anything this week, so.
Sounds like that's a specific title and knowledge level and whatnot.
Yeah.
To be an engine boss.
Yep, this individual would work under Captain Romo and be part of the wildland team as an engine boss.
Okay. All right, number 4, fuels management and ambassador status.
Yep, so this is Lindsay Reed's position.
Oh, okay.
We have not made a determination, just so you guys know, we're kind of changing our nomenclature internally. We kind of want to get rid of the word slash. It's not very descriptive when we're talking about especially like retirement, job postings, job descriptions, things like that. It's more appropriate to say fuels management.
Okay.
So that kind of group that follows under Captain Romo is our fuels management division. He has the wildland division and the fuels management, and that was formerly known as Slash. So Lindsay Reed's position is funded out of that position since the grant money went away. We are not 100% certain yet, but that position may or may not come back, since it wasn't originally a funded position. So that's why this committee is very important to us, that if we are able to manage the load with getting the word out there and this is successful in the way that we think it should be, then we may not need to replace that position until we get an additional grant. Captain Romo is also gonna have to pick up some of the workload on this, and so I'm sure he's gonna be heavily interested in wanting to replace that position as quickly as we can. But we just don't have that word with not as much money coming into the village and GRT going down this year. We're just kind of in some uncertainty as to whether we can
Now,
fill that
our
position.
$10 million grant, that money gotta be separated.
Yeah.
You couldn't fund the Lindsay position.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not.
They have the grant. That's not really, like, so the CWA controls the grant. That's-
Oh, okay,
it's
so
their
it goes directly to them. I thought.
That's why they're kind of calling their own shots. No, the grant is to be implemented in Angel Fire. But it's completely there.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it came to Angel Fire, then Angel Fire hired CWA to.
No, CWA is controlling the wildfire, community wildfire defense grants.
Okay.
And then they act kind of, for lack of a better word, they act as the contractor and implement it.
Sure. Okay.
But
And that was a
it's dedicated for within the village.
And that was a collaborative effort. We all took part in our pieces of the application for that grant. The resort and everybody kind of came together, but they are the facilitator for the grant for sure.
Okay. All right, purpose statement finalization. You have anything to say on that? I thought we'd kind of finalized that.
Yeah, we did, but then we kind of, after our meeting the other day, I think we decided we need to fill out a committee charter and kind of get more in depth with it. But I think once we have more people in place, we should revisit that.
Okay.
Okay.
So for the purpose statement, we do all agree on, there was a vote on it. It was voted in at that committee meeting. So that's what we're moving forward with. It was my idea that we should probably read that purpose statement at the beginning of every meeting, or at least periodically to remind ourselves of why we're here. I think that got a little bit lost in other meetings, so I think it's a good idea to keep in mind what our purpose is.
Okay. Good neighbors status policy check-in.
Yeah, so the good neighbor policy agreement, Mark had given his revisions. I think we were pretty much ready to vote that in. But again, this is probably something that should be tabled until the next meeting, until we have everybody in place. That way, everybody feels like they have some ownership over the good neighbor policy. We don't have people knocking down the door right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Captain Romo, but nobody's really asking for that item right now to work on other people. So we're probably okay to table that until we get another member in and we have a vote on that. If you guys are okay with that, that would be my recommendation.
Well, assuming we don't have a big monsoon season this summer, I think fires are already on everybody's mind on the news regularly and whatnot. It might be a segue to really kicking off the Firewise committee and all of that stuff to help outreach to people coming into the village and, you know, remote owners and all that stuff.
Does everybody have a copy of the good neighbor policy in its last draft? I think I may have sent it out last week. If not,
So I'm not getting some of those emails.
okay,
Yeah.
will you double check with me and make sure I have the right email?
And me too at the end of this.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I thought I did, but that's, oh yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
Is that the last one or
Property access and wildfire
mitigation
mitigation
agreement?
agreement, yes.
Okay.
We agreed on the name of that too, so that is its final form. Can anybody keep me honest here? Did we vote on that and vote it in?
The name,
The name, yes, but the policy as a whole.
I thought it had to be approved by council or legal, no, I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Mark, what's your recollection of that? Like,
I don't have one. I thinking maybe it was with village legal counsel, but that seems like it might, if it has been, it's been there for a while, so, I really don't recall.
Okay, I'll double check and make sure,
Or do we need to finally approve to move it forward to,
I think so, that was my impression of where it was left.
that's what we need.
That we needed to approve it to send it to legal. And
Do we want to do that now, or do we want to wait until we have a full committee? And it sounds like just a formality, right?
this is something that, you know, whoever walks in hasn't really worked on a whole lot and doesn't really have a lot of the background information. I'd be okay with, voting on it today if you guys all are, vote
Seems like
to,
it's just formality. We want to get things moving. Why wait? So,
that would require a motion in a second. And a vote.
okay, do I hear a motion on the, whatever we just talked about?
Make sure you-
this thing.
Yeah, make sure you, verbalize the agreement name, please.
Yeah,
Name.
so we're on the good policy check-in.
No, sir, the one that you pulled out.
Or the
Back to,
Mitigation agreement.
yeah.
mitigation.
So we want to move this forward to council and village approval?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
so-
which is this? Is this the agreement or what is this?
Good neighbor agreement to pass it to legal counsel.
Yeah, I think that the title that we agreed to before, Mark, is the Property Access and Wildfire Mitigation Agreement. And then underneath that is in italics, it's the good neighbor policy.
Yeah, and
So
I mean, we can certainly vote on it, but I think, I could have sworn this has already gone to village council.
The legal
Um,
counsel, I'll double check.
But I mean, it doesn't, you know, it's the last version of the policy that contains all of my revisions that I gave to Lindsay. So
I
if
don't
that,
see a date. This one.
so, I mean, if that's the case, chief, we can certainly just, move to forward the last version of the good neighbor policy that I revised to village council, or to at least provide it to the village manager for his decision on whether or not it should go to village council. But I think, I think we've already done that, but I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Okay, you're second.
Second that.
All right, Brian seconded. All in favor? Aye.
I, Mark Manley.
Okay, I'm Mike Laverty.
Hi, Brian.
Okay,
Motion passed.
motion passes. Okay, so now it's item 7, Firewise application status.
Captain Romo, if you don't mind speaking to that?
Yeah, so we're waiting on pretty much the chair of the committee to put in there and then your mission statement. But pretty much after this meeting, I'm gonna email it to you. If you would like me to add Mary and then her counterpart there in Santa Fe, I could do that and just say, hey, this is the Firewise committee's application. And where we go from here. They're probably gonna tell you what I'm gonna tell you now. You have to go on the NFPA website where we were looking and you got signed up, and you're gonna have to upload it there. So I just want to do it by the books. That way they're like,
Sure,
hey, you guys are doing the right steps.
but is that something that I or we would need to upload that?
Yeah,
Okay,
you're the only one right now with the NFPA access to the portal, so it'd have to come through you,
okay.
and that's it.
So we're basically ready to submit an application to Firewise to become an official part of their organization.
Correct.
Okay,
Does he have what he needs to upload?
Yeah, he has the portal, and then I'll send him the document. I'll email Mary and George out of Santa Fe, and it'll already be there. That way they could just tell you, hey, you need to upload it or whatever. So,
okay.
but we'll
And
go
I
through.
assume it's, it comes to me as a file that I just attach.
Correct, a PDF.
PDF and forward onto them, okay. Alrighty, any other discussion on that one?
If you have any specific questions about how to get it done, Captain Romo, just follow up with
Yeah.
that email, he'll help you out.
Yeah, my kids get frustrated with my calls regularly about technical things, so now I have somebody else to call. Okay, item number 8, CWPP update scope and timeline.
So, as you guys know, it's due next, the revision is due next year in 2027. When Lindsay and I approached, Chief, wanting to go for another 10 million for the CWDG grant, we're kind of under the, go ahead.
Now, is that Cimarron watershed or pilot program or something like that?
No, it's Community Wildfire Defense, program.
If you don't mind just giving us a little bit of background, just to.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like a guideline. They come in a big group, core group, and they tell you where your strong points and weaknesses are. And in 2022, they came in, the Forest Guild, and they have this big elaborate plan. And I think you have that. It's on our village website. You need to look at it. I could email it to you and it tell you what you need to do. Like, and I think the first one was become a Firewise committee. They have action item. The other one was this, you know, the evacuation routes, and they give you like a template of what they feel you need to do to be more fire hardened, you know, your community, all that. It's pretty pricey, you know, so there are some contractors that charge anywhere from 50 to 250,000. So like going back to what I was saying, when we approached Chief about this, Lindsay and I, we were under the impression that we're gonna add that money to this phase 2 of the CWDG. I talked to Rick Smith this morning and that did not get put on there. So we're gonna have to either do another CWDG Community Wildfire Defense Grant application or look for another grant. The first grant that we used when Chief Henson was here was New Mexico Association of Counties. So I'm gonna hit them up back now in January of 2027, because the application process has already lapsed. So that's one funding source we could do. The other one would be a whole different CWDG to update the CWPP. I know there's a lot of acronyms, but you know, the more you get into this, you're gonna fall into place. I'll be asking you next year about all the acronyms.
What is the CWPP?
Community Wildfire Protection Plan. So that's the plan that we updated in 2022. That again needs to be done in 2027. Every 5 years, you gotta update it.
And the important part of that is if you don't have this plan done, it makes you ineligible to apply for a lot of other grants. So this is kind of the basis foundation that we have to have in order for us to say that, you know, we have a plan moving forward and that as long as we have it, we can apply for grants.
And so are you saying that there's consultants that come in and do that for us?
Yeah, contractors, and the Forest Guild did the last one, and I already kind of reached out to them, so I'll be taking that if you guys don't mind, you know, Chief and I. And
This, then ultimately we have to find funding for that.
Correct.
To pay them.
So I already have 2 funding sources I'm
Okay.
tapping now, and then you know, if I gotta go 3, 4, 5, I just want to make sure we have one for each fire by 2027.
Yeah.
Or the update.
So how much should that cost? Like, so it's not the full plan, it's an update.
Oh, man, you're gonna have to ask me on. So after Henson left, you guys know, they gave a lot of stuff to me and it was probably I wanna say 180,000 is in my head on that grant, cause I had to go and, you know, give him all the action items and the invoicing and all that stuff for it. So I think 280 or 180. But, that CWDG grant, they could fund up to 250,000, what Rick Smith was saying this morning.
So if you apply for that grant, it should then get awarded, it would be enough to cover this.
Correct. And then some, if we want to do outreach, education, that stuff kind of in there. We have to talk, but you know, I just want to make sure we have it, or at least the basis for it before 2027 and make sure.
Is there a time frame that you have to submit it a year in advance to get approved by 27?
No, I think Mark was on there, on the committee meetings. I was busy fighting fire, but I want to say it took the core group anywhere from like 3 to 6 months to get it. Okay. Can you ask Mark?
I can hear you.
Oh, I don't know if he could hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. There's a lot of stakeholders in that from what I recall. I mean, we do have to get it updated, in order for Rick or anyone else that's in that position to continue to go out for grants. I mean, obviously the CWDG grant is the big one. But and I'm not I'm very familiar with the CWDG grant process, but as far as what else the CWPP is required in terms of grants that the village might go after. I don't know that, but it seemed to me that, there's stakeholders in that CWPP process and there's a lot of people that were in the community center for that thing. And it ultimately, evolves into that particular plan. If it needs to be updated within the next year, but I don't know that, it doesn't seem to me like we have to recreate the wheel, spend a lot of money, any of that. It seems like that's what happened in 22. And if, the goal would be to just update what we have. It doesn't seem to me like a heck of a lot has changed in the last 5 years. Again, I just recall there being a lot of different people, not just Angel Fire, involved in that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, the Forest Service, State Forestry, so CWDA, I mean, pretty much everyone we would work with on wildfire is gonna be there. A lot of collaboration, like Mark was saying, but every CWPP update I've seen, it has to have like some kind of funding, like a lot of funding behind it. I don't know why. Like Mark was alluding to, I mean, it seems like it'd be easy, right, Mark, to update it, because we've been doing everything in the steps that they gave us on there. I mean, we're doing evacuation routes, we're fire hardening homes, we're doing Firewise, all that. But for some reason, it takes a lot of money, and maybe it's because of all the GIS work in there, the maps. Remember Mary was showing us some of the ones that she wanted to incorporate into the Firewise plan. So I think that's what really trumps it. You have to get people to do that. And, I'll talk to some of the people that were running that. I think it was, who was it from the Forest Guild? Forgot his name, but anyway, I did email him back a few months ago, and, I want to get the ball rolling. So.
Well, it seems like 2027 is a long ways away.
Yeah, but
It's only
right.
7 months away now. So.
Gabe Kohler, sorry,
Yeah.
I just had it's kind of late in the day, but Gabe Kohler is the one I emailed and to ask him, where we go from here, if he could give us some words of wisdom, and, maybe we could reach out to Mary Stuber. She's pretty dialed doing those, being a district forester.
Sure. Okay. That's all of our agenda items. Anybody got anything else that we need to talk about?
Usually you guys, establish your next meeting date. Do you want to hold off on that or look at your calendars?
Yeah, let's go ahead
Any
and
thoughts
schedule
on
it.
that?
Let's go ahead and schedule it.
Yeah, something,
Yeah.
today's May,
Do Mondays work for everybody? Tuesdays,
So
no, this is fine.
mornings, afternoons?
early or late is preferable for me. So midday. And
Mark, you have any input?
Yeah, the first Monday of the month at 4 seems reasonable to me, but
aim for first and third for now. And
I don't have time to do 2 meetings a month. I'll do my best to make one. And if we need to vote on something, I can certainly just jump on, but I don't have the bandwidth to do that.
sure. Well, we've got to get 1 or 2 more members on board. So there's some work to do there. And probably some urgency to get that done.
Yeah.
So that we can get past that level and start moving ahead with a full committee.
Yeah, if they can recommend by by May 17th, if the council can approve May 26th, then we can meet June 1st.
You guys set it for,
Before. Does that work?
Does that sound,
it's available.
okay? Well, let's, Mark, does that sound all right with you?
Yeah, is that the, June 1st at 4?
Yep.
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay. Looks like that's the go then. Anything else?
If you have, any agenda items also, please have those in by May 17th, if you wanna discuss anything. Let's have all agenda items in and 2 ILI out by
Okay.
May 17th. So we can all just, have that. Those points of discussion.
Yeah.
And that agenda set.
Okay. That's it, and we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thanks.